The DJ-808 is a very versatile DJ instrument with lots of different applications. So let's build a sequence using the TRS in the step sequencer. We've got 16 steps. We can see that steps 1, 5, 9, and 13 are the downbeats, and they're lit up a little bit brighter. So to start, let's create a metronome using the closed hat. We're going to put the closed hat on those beats, hit play. And to keep it very simple, let's make a 4 to the floor beat. Very simple. Let's add the snare drum on the 2 and the 4. Add some open hat. Now if we want to change it up a little bit, perhaps move the bass drum. We just used the 808 kit to create a pattern. Let me show you how to get to some of the other kits in the TRS. Holding Shift, select the TR-909, the 707, or the 606. You can also mix and match those sounds and create your own custom kits using all these classic sounds by selecting a sound here and turning the volume knob. You also have the option to swap out the snare drum for a hand clap. You also have the ability to change the trim, the attack, the decay, and the tuning. We also have the option of creating patterns in real time using the TR performance pad mode. Bass drum, snare drum, closed hat, open hat. To do this, we're going to clear the pattern first. We're using number 9. Hold the clear button, press pattern 9. It's now clear. To help us, we're going to create a metronome again with a closed hat on the downbeat. We're going to hit start. And we're going to hold Shift, TR record. And now anything I play will be entered in to the step sequencer in what we call instant record mode. Now the bottom row of these pads in the TR mode allow you to play rolls. There's a straight roll. We also have patterns. So if you press the parameter plus or minus, that will scroll through the patterns. So if I want to spice up the pattern I just created, important to note, you can't record those. They're just added on top of what you've already done. Now finally, if you want to add some accents to what we just created, pull the accent button. Now that accent will be transferred to any sounds on those steps throughout the whole pattern. We also have the ability to change the shuffle and the scale of our patterns. So let me pull up another pattern here. First, I'll change the shuffle. So at the moment, by default, it's at 0. Now we can hear it swinging a lot harder. It goes all the way up to 50, which is pretty extreme. You can also add it a negative shuffle if you want. Swing it in unique ways. We also have the ability to change the scale of our patterns by pressing this button here. Now I've selected pattern 10. It's in the scale of 16, which basically means there's 4 steps per beat. Now I can change that to 32. I have some patterns over here in 32. And that, in essence, makes it a double time pattern. And you can really play with the timing of it, creating faster rolls, half time, double time. And when you switch to 32, you're adding 8 steps per beat. Let's have a listen to the difference. Here's 16 scale. Now let's go to the 32 scale. Here's some of the rolls happening. So really good for trap producers and trap DJs. Unique to the DJ-808 is also the ability to sequence Serato's sampler. The new improved sampler includes 4 banks of now 8 slots, renamed from the SP6 to the sampler. To access this on the performance pads, you select sampler here, and if we go to Serato DJ, you click the sampler button at the top of the screen to show the drop-down sampler panel. We have the ability to route our sampler to any of the 4 individual faders on the main mixer section or the master out. By default, it's going to our TR sampler channel here, which corresponds to A or auxiliary. Personally, I prefer to route it to another channel so I have individual control over that. And this is a great way to bolster what you've already done with your TR sounds by adding custom drum sounds, sound effects, or other samples. To load samples, all we need to do is drag and drop the sample to an empty slot, like so. Or if you want to save a bit of time, you can select all the samples, like so, and drag it to the first slot, and that will auto-load it to all the slots across that bank. Sequencing the sampler works very much like sequencing the TR unit. We're going to use instant record mode. I'm going to add to the pattern that I had before. Now say I don't like something I did, I can come up here to the sequencer area and I can see here I have bank A, B, C, D. At the moment I'm in bank A and I have the 8 sampler slots here. So I can see what I've just laid in there. And if I want to say get rid of that snare drum, I go to number 7 and press step 3 to erase it. If I want, I can also use the step sequencer to enter in the sample sounds like so. You also have the ability to edit the trim and the tuning of the sample using the TR knobs here. Let me play the sequence again. And I'm going to edit the conga sound by holding number 2. And then turn it down. You also have the ability to play multiple patterns. So if we go to the TRS, press pattern button here, we can see pattern 7 is selected. If I hold 7 and 8, now when I play, 7 and 8 will alternate back and forth. Now I've used these just to create a simple variation in the hi-hat, so it's not so static, playing over and over again. Let's have a listen. And we can see the pattern blinking when it's queuing up to play next. And I'll bring in my sampler. If you're selecting multiple patterns to play in the TRS, you're restricted to contiguous patterns, basically patterns that border one another. If we come down to the performance pad area, we've got a pattern mode here, which we can access by holding Shift and pressing TR. And we can see patterns 7 and 8 are selected. In this mode, I can select patterns that don't border one another. So let's have a listen, playing 2 quite different patterns. I can play 3, 4, I can play all patterns if I want. Now we just changed some patterns together in the TRS. If you come down to the performance pads, you can do a similar thing, holding Shift and pressing TR to access the pattern mode. Let's hit play. I can play multiple patterns. and I can sequence different patterns like so. Another important feature is the ability to copy patterns. This is a great way to create some variation in what would otherwise be a somewhat static drum pattern. So to do that, we're going to hold pattern, press the pattern you want to copy. Let's copy 3. And now we have the ability to copy that to any of these pattern slots here. I'm going to send it to 4. And let's say go into the close hat just to create a little bit of variation. And I'm going to play those back and forth, and you can hear the hi-hat pattern change.